because there's nothing else to talk about anyway, so let's do the review now. So, GTA 4 is my least favorite in the main series, not including any of the spin-off games. And not including GTA 1 and 2. So, it's my least favorite out of the 3D series, the main 3D series. So, it makes sense for me to go into why that is. First and foremost. The reason is because, it's like I talked about before. The vehicle physics, the vehicle mechanics in this game are terrible. People have told me that they are more realistic. Honestly, I don't even know how you can tell that. Because driving a car and playing a video game are two different things. They're so different from each other. So I'm not sure how exactly you can assess whether or not something is realistic in terms of driving. All I can tell you is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how realistic something is. It's a video game. It's supposed to be fun, first and foremost. The way you control and drive your car, the way you drive it, like I can do this stuff, and it's perfectly fine. And I can even write myself up sometimes, even when it's on its side like this, and that's perfectly fine. Because it's a game. The way we control vehicles in a game is totally different than the way we control them in real life. I don't control a game with gamepad and analog sticks. I don't control my car like that. So the way we control these things is different, and they should be different. The vehicles are they are generally too slow, too heavy feeling, hard to control, and the handbrake is totally useless. In the previous games, you could use the handbrake to drift, right? In this game, you use the handbrake to drift around this turn, and you skid out of control to a complete stop. And it doesn't, it's only good for maybe making a quick U-turn. Not even a quick U-turn, making a U-turn, that's it. Other than that, it's useless. In all the other GTA games, it was very good at drifting around turns and just making your turns easier.
You're bringing me back, Liberty City.
So suffice to say, yeah, you spend most of the game in a vehicle. So if the vehicle doesn't feel good, even the fast cars don't feel good, then it's a major problem. Speaking of the fast cars, there's no garage, so even when you find a fast car, you can't save it. And the fast cars are rare. Like, I rarely see any fast cars. In GTA 3, you had fast cars in Island 3, Vice City had fast cars throughout the entire game. San Andreas was more similar to GTA 3, where they're more sporadic, but in this game, I rarely ever see them. You can make the argument that it makes them more special, but given the disposable nature of vehicles in this game, it's a big problem. Because you can basically only use a nice fast car for one mission. And then it's gone. You know, I got an Infernus once, and then I used it from one mission, I never saw it again. So that's really bad. The other thing that's really bad about this game is the movement. In fact, I'm going to demonstrate something right now. This is really bad. This is really bad. What the fuck is this? This is so fucking annoying. This seems like such a small problem, but since you're getting in and out of vehicles so often, this one problem right here is worth pointing out. I hate this. I don't even need to explain what's wrong with this. You can see what's wrong with this. I never had this problem in any of the previous GTA games. Because it's so problematic, I now have to wait for him to finish that animation. In all the other previous GTA games, I didn't have to wait. You could just open it up and then just hold down the analog stick and get out quickly. But this fucking thing getting in the way so much has acclimated me to just wait until he finishes that stupid fucking animation just so I won't have to get into this problem. And then I have to go all the way fucking around. And here's the other problem that you're seeing right now. These cell phone calls are so fucking annoying. They're like bombarded with so many fucking calls. It's so irritating. Now, I mean, I get why. Like, right now, I'm getting bombarded with these Pegorino calls because I'm supposed to do a storyline mission. But too often, there's idiots asking me to hang out, and it's just annoying. It shouldn't be so frequent, and I don't remember this being that much of a problem in GTA 5. I could be wrong, but I'm just going based upon feeling. I can't prove it. Certainly I didn't get that. I believe that the whole hangout thing started in San Andreas, and I don't remember it being a major problem there, but it's just annoying here. Now I was going to talk about the movement, right? So, the movement, he is so slow. Again, you spend half the time in cars, the other half is walking around, and he is so slow. He is so painfully slow, and he moves around like he's walking through, you know, Oobleck or something like that. It's so painful. Yeah, he can run, but then you have less control, and like him like moving around, like when you're just like moving like this, like why is he leaning? Why is he leaning like that? No one walks or runs. Like, I just feel like it's so sluggish. And then when you're running fast, and then that happens a lot. That seems to happen to me a lot more in this game than in the previous games. I usually don't even run just because of how hard it is to control him when he is running. And it's too irritating. Yeah, they did reduce the phone calls in GTA 5, yeah. I definitely feel like that's the case. We need to talk a little bit about the weapons as well. So the weapon system is bad. It's stuck between two different worlds. So this game came out in 2008. So it kind of has the lock-on system from the previous GTA games. And then it combines that a little bit with the free aim system in modern TPS games that were first established in Resident Evil 4. Now, what am I talking about? This style. Okay, so basically FPS controls move back and forth, strafe left and right, and you can aim, right? But look at this. The game doesn't want you to use this system. I'm just holding down the left trigger and it already wants to lock on to someone. So it can do both. You can free aim by keeping the left trigger halfway pressed, but it is so unnatural. This whole thing feels tacked on. And I really hate it. Okay, look how slowly he moves. So he doesn't even move like he would in a regular TPS game in the Resident Evil 4 style, because he's moving too slow. This is more similar to aiming down sights in a TPS game, rather than firing normally from the hip, so to speak. This is really aiming down sights. So there's no way to fire from the hip in the Resident Evil 4 style, the modern style. What the game really wants you to do is use this, the lock-on system, which is archaic. It sucks. I mean, I guess you could say technically this system might be a little bit better than the one established in San Andreas, but in some ways, you know, I would rather have it either be the old style or the new style. I don't like this funny, I don't know what to be style. You know, because this system feels so tacked on. It feels so cheap. You know? It feels so flimsy and bad. Now, despite the gunplay in this game not being very good, that's what you spend most of your missions on. Most of the missions are just shoot stuff missions. Some of them are chase missions. That's the biggest problem, I think. Well, one of the problems, not the biggest problem. One of the biggest problems is there's just not enough mission variety. They're all either, you know, go around and chase people, or you're being chased by someone, or go here and kill these people. So many shooting, so many shooting missions, so much shooting missions. There was more variety in the previous GTA games because they realized that shooting wasn't fun. So to compensate for that, they had a greater variety of missions. And you could say that some of the variety wasn't very fun, but at least it never lasted long enough to overstay its welcome. Whereas in this game, you're constantly doing shooter missions when the shooting isn't very good. And even if it were good, it's not a TPS game. It's an open world game. It's an open world game for a reason. You know, if I wanted to play a TPS game, I would play a real TPS game, not GTA. Right? It's important that the shooting feels good, but it's not good in this game. Not very good. Where the hell is the SMG? We'll come back. So those are most of my major complaints. I should critique the storyline a little bit. Now, Nico, I do like him as a character. He's a pretty cool guy, but he is pretty stupid in the beginning. Like, a lot of the mishaps that happen in the game are because of him, because he made really dumb decisions. And that's a big problem, because you want the main character to be smart, because he represents you, and you want to be smart. So when he makes dumb decisions that wind up fucking things up for himself and his friends, that's a pretty big problem. Oh, I don't want to forget. The melee system's terrible. This is so slow. It's so cumbersome. Honestly, they tried to make this more complicated and more robust. You know, by adding more buttons and things like that. But it's so slow and clunky. By adding more buttons and doing more things, like it unnecessarily made it needlessly complicated when it was just it wasn't fun. I actually prefer the simpler system of GTA 3, you know, because at least it's fast, and the only point is to just kill people. In this game, like, why would you ever want to even use the melee system? So making it unnecessarily complicated and slow as a result of that complication is pointless. You know, it's not like this is Sleeping Dogs. Um,
Hi, Katie.
it,
I can't work what they're saying. It's just too shit for words.
you don't need to melee when you have guns. So melee should always just be for fun.
I'm not working with them anymore. Because
And I don't believe they made it more realistic. They made it slower. And I don't care if they made it more realistic. It's a video game.
wow, that hurt.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing though. The dumb decisions and the mishaps should come from outside of the main character. Other people should be making the dumb decisions, whereas the main character needs to fix the problems.
Jesus, grow a radar or something.
So, now going back to the story, I think, I've been spending a lot of time, complaining about the game, and I don't want to make it sound like I hate this game, because I don't. But, since it is my least favorite in the series, I think it's important to explain why that is, first and foremost. So now I want to talk more about, the things I actually like about the game. The graphics in the city are great. I think these graphics even hold up even by today's standards. And when this game was first announced, everyone loved it because of the graphics, because the graphics were such a big improvement over the previous games. We had 3 games on the PS2 using the same shitty PS2 engine. That's why they never called Vice City GTA 4, and they didn't call San Andreas GTA 5, because they were all kind of the same. They were all using the same engine, and they weren't a significant enough improvement over the previous game in terms of graphics. That was the reason. But this game did. They finally improved the graphics engine so that the game is much prettier and added a huge level of detail. I just wish that the missions took advantage of that increased detail. Which is the whole point of improving the graphics. The graphics are supposed to improve the gameplay so that you can do things in games that you previously couldn't do. I honestly can't think of a single mission in this game that was unique or novel compared to San Andreas. I really can't. Everything that was cool in this game, like when you're riding your motorcycle through the subway and stuff like that, that was in San Andreas too, or something similar to it. So even that wasn't very unique, but it is a very pretty game. I do like Nico as a main character. I like how they decided to do something kind of daring and use the non-American. He kind of grows on you as the game goes on. I like him. If I were to rank him, I like him more than Tommy Vercetti. And obviously I might like him more than Trevor. Trevor would be at the bottom. Tommy Vercetti, Nico, and then everyone else. So he's a pretty good character. The story is okay. Honestly, I wasn't able to be invested in it nearly as much as the other games. The story in the other games kind of invested me more. The music's all pretty good. Not nearly as memorable as San Andreas. Nowhere near as nostalgic and memorable as GTA 3. But it's okay. And there's a wide variety. I can't talk about the multiplayer. I know there's a multiplayer to this, but I never played it. And I have a feeling that the reason why so many people love this game is probably because of the memories of the multiplayer. Because I'm sure it's great. Like, if you have a city that looks like this as a big playground, then I'm sure that's the main reason why people love it so much. But I'm only talking about the single-player game. So, yeah, really, that's all I have to say about it. I mean, like, I guess I could mention like little bits and pieces here and there. It's disappointing that there's no Rhino. It's disappointing that there's no garages. I don't know why they took them out. Maybe there's some weird reason for it. I don't know, but I'd consider that to be a big problem. Not a big problem, excuse me. It's a it's like one of those little things I would have liked. But it's still a good game. I just don't like it as much as the others. Maybe if there was a mod that improved the movement, like this, and definitely improved the car mechanics, then I probably would like it a lot more. Even if they kept everything else the same. Yeah, there's little things in this game that you can do in this game that you can't do in the other games, but in all fairness, the reason why they took them out is because they're not important. Crouching, like, I don't think this even helps tactically in combat. Oh, and before I forget, yeah, the cover system in this game, it works sometimes, you know, but it it's pretty bad. You know, it's not terrible. It's not the worst I've experienced, but it's pretty bad, especially considering how often you have to use it. The cover system, and like I said, the lock-on system. The game has a tendency to lock on to people that you don't want to lock onto. You know, and then there's people that you want to lock onto that the game just doesn't lock onto. It's like the game wants you to use the lock-on system instead of the free aim system. It tells you, hey, use this. You know, yeah, you can use the free aim system, but really, just use the lock-on system. And yeah, those are just my final thoughts. Sorry for the few like random thoughts at the end. Those are just some things that I forgot. But that's really all I gotta say about this game. It's good, but it's flawed, and I believe the flaws keep it back. Hold it back. Alright, that's it.